Welcome you all to another interesting English lesson on Guru Gedara. Today I have Miss Niranji with me. Hello Miss Niranji, how are you?
Hello Miss Vatsala, I'm fine, thank you. Hello my dear children, hope you're well.
Right, let's see what we have today. I hope y'all can remember the first lesson on the conditional clause type 1. So today let's see what we have.
Hi Sakina, it's good to see you.
Hi Abdurrahim, it's good to see you too. Tell me Abdurrahim, what would you do if you won $1 million?
Well, let me think about it. So, if I won $1 million, I would travel around the world. I would visit a lot of famous places. No doubts, I would stay in very expensive 5-star hotels. What else? I would buy expensive gifts for all my friends. What about you, Sakina? What would you do if you were a president?
Well, let me think a little bit. If I were a president, I would make some important social changes. For example, if I were a president, I would fight poverty. Adding to that, I would build more hospitals and health centers. What else? Yes, I would build more schools and universities.
That's great, Sakina. Let us stop dreaming and be real. I don't have any $1 million and you're not a president either.
Yes, that's true.
Right. Now, these are the sentences that you have heard in the conversation you have just seen. Okay. If I won $1 million, Miss Niranji, would you read these for our children?
Yes, of course. If I won $1 million, I would visit a lot of famous places. If I won $1 million, I would stay in very expensive 5-star hotels. If I won $1 million, I would buy expensive gifts for all my friends. If I won $1 million, I would travel around the world.
Yes, that was from the first part of the dialogue. Now, to the second part of the dialogue, we will see what the girl has said. If I were a president, I would fight poverty. If I were a president, I would build more hospitals and health centers. If I were a president, I would build more schools and universities. Right, we will see what we have next. Yes, today we are going to talk if type 2. So, let us see the uses of if type 2 or when we are using the if conditional type 2. Miss Niranji?
Yes, we use if conditional type 2 when the action or the situation in the if clause is unlikely to happen.
Yes, if it is unlikely to happen. For example, now you have heard if I were a president or if I won $1 million, right? Likewise, another example, if I saw a robbery, I would call the police. If I saw a robbery, I would call the police. Again, another use.
When the action or the situation in the if clause is contrary to fact, the opposite of the real situation.
Yes, right. The example, if I knew his telephone number, if I knew his phone number, I would give him a call. Now, what is the real situation? I didn't know his phone number, right? So, like in a situation like that, we use if type 2. Okay? Right. Now, we will see the sentence structure. Right. In the if conditional, we have two parts for the sentence. One is the if clause, which gives you the condition, and the main clause, which gives the result. So, in the sentence, remember children, you have two parts, the if clause with the condition and the main clause with the result. Right. Now, in the condition we have to use if and the simple past tense in the condition. If plus simple past tense, and you can see a red comma, right, that is a must. And then in the main clause which gives you the result, you have to have would and the verb. Okay? Right. Now this is very important. Remember it when you use or when you write sentences in the if type 2. If we start the sentence with the if clause, it is necessary to put the comma at the end of the conditional clause. Right? That is why I have put it in between the if clause and the main clause, and for you to remember it or to see it clearly, I have put it in red. Okay. Now, we will go for an example. If I saw a robbery, I would call the police. Now, in the condition, you see with the if clause, we have used the past tense of the verb saw, and in the main clause we have would and the verb would call. Right? This is the sentence structure for if type 2.
And the verb should be infinitive.
Yes, the verb should be infinitive. What do you mean by that? I think it is better if we can say something about it to our children, Miss Niranji.
Yes, the verb should be present verb or the infinitive, or we call it stem as well.
Yes. So, you can't add s, es, ing or ed to the verb in the main clause. Right, children? Okay. Now, when you use if type 2, there are some important facts for you to remember. First thing, although the past tense is used in the if clause, for example, within bracket you see knew, saw, those two are past tense verbs. The meaning is either present or future, not past. Now, even if we use the past tense form of the verb, we are not referring to something in the past. It is either present or future, right? Okay. Then, in the sentence structure, the main clause can come before the if clause. Now, look at the first one. If I knew his phone number, I would give him a call. Right, now look at it. After the words phone number, you can see a comma. Before the comma, you can see the if condition, and the underlined part is the main clause. Now the second part, second sentence, I would give him a call if I knew his phone number. Now the result has come first. So when you take the result at the beginning of the sentence, you can't use a comma. Okay, children? If you are using the if clause at the beginning only, you have to use a comma at the end of the if clause. Remember it very carefully. Then, were can be used with any subject, plural or singular. It's something new, isn't that so, Miss Niranji?
Yes.
Now, we use were with the plural nouns, but with the if clause, were can be used with both singular and plurals. Right, for example, can you read the example, Miss Niranji?
Yes. If I were a bird, I would fly around the world. And the next one is, if he were here, he would help us.
Yes. Now, if I were, we use it, but if he were, we normally don't use. But with the if clause type 2, you can use were with he. Okay? And it is changed a little bit nowadays, even though it is the rule earlier. Now, we will see what has happened. Now,
if I was a bird, I would fly around the world. Or, if he was here, he would help us.
yes, instead of were, we can use was. Okay, children? I am reading this again. However, nowadays, people tend to use was with singular subjects. Now, these are the examples. If I was a bird, I would fly around the world, or if he was here, he would help us. Right. Now, this is there in your book. Match the clauses and form meaningful sentences. Miss Niranji, can you read the first set of sentences?
Yes. If I knew Sahan's address. Next one, I would sail around the world. Next one, if today was Monday. Next, I would learn to play a musical instrument. Next, if we had more rain. If my uncle had a motorbike, what would happen?
Yes. And the last one is a question. Remember, children, what would happen? Started with the question word what. All the others are sentences, whereas the last one is a question. Right. We'll read these also. I'll read them for you. If I had more time, there would be more vehicles on the road. If the earth suddenly stopped spinning, the crops would grow better. If I had a ship, he would take me for a ride. I would send him a birthday card. So, can you quickly match these two to make meaningful sentences? Quickly do it. Then we can check the answers. Okay? Right. Now, for the answers. If I knew Sahan's address, I would send him a birthday card. The second one, Miss Niranji.
I would sail around the world if I had a ship.
If today was Monday, there would be more vehicles on the road.
I would learn to play a musical instrument if I had more time.
If we had more rain, the crops would grow better. Yes, if my uncle had a motorbike, he would take me for a ride. And the last one is the question. What would happen if the earth suddenly stopped spinning? What would happen to the world? Okay? Right. Then, a small activity for you. What would you do if you won a lottery? Yes, children? What are you going to do with that? Use the picture clues to write sentences. Now, with the picture, you have some words within the bubbles. So, first one.
Travel around the world.
Yes, travel around the world.
Help the poor. Shall I read them?
Yes, sure.
Go around the country. Buy a house. Donate books to a library.
Yes. Can you put these two sentences in if type 2? Can you quickly do it? I will read these again. Travel around the world, help the poor, go around the country, buy a house, donate books to a library. Shall we check whether you all have written them correctly? Yes.
If I won a lottery, I would buy a beautiful house.
Yes, if I won a lottery, I would buy a beautiful house.
If I won a lottery, I would go around the country.
Yes. Third one.
If I won a lottery, I would help the poor.
Fourth one.
If I won a lottery, I would travel around the world.
And the last.
If I won a lottery, I would donate books to a library.
Yes. Now these are all imaginary situations, unreal situations. Isn't that so, Miss Niranji?
Yes, they are unreal situations.
Yes. To have the result, the condition should be fulfilled. If I won, you have not yet won a lottery. If you have won it, if you won a lottery in the future, what will you do? What would you do? Okay? Right. Then complete the conditional sentences. Type 2 by putting the words into the correct form. Use conditional to with would in the main clause. If we have, within brackets you have the word have, a yacht, we within brackets sail the 7 seas. Second one, if he within brackets have more time, he within brackets learn karate. If they, tell is the verb within brackets, their father, he within brackets very angry. She within brackets you have spend a year in the USA. If it within brackets you have be, easier to get a green card. If I within brackets live on a lonely island, I within brackets you have cultivate the whole land. And more to it, we within brackets help you if we blank know how to. Seventh one, my brother within brackets you have buy a sports car if he within brackets have the money. Then number 8, if I within brackets feel better, I within brackets go to the library with you. Then 9, if you within brackets you have ride your bike more often, you within brackets you have 2 words, be not overweight. Then she within brackets you have 2 words again, not talk to you if she within brackets be mad at you. Now there, what do you mean by mad? Miss Niranji?
Getting angry?
Yes, getting angry. Okay, I asked that question because when they see the word mad, they will think
Becoming mad.
yes, becoming mad. They will get another meaning. Okay, right. These are the answers. Miss Niranji, will you read these?
Yes. If we had a yacht, we would sail the 7 seas. If he had more time, he would learn karate. If they told their father, he would be very angry.
You can see the words in brackets as well, so you can easily identify how the verbs have changed to the past and in the first part in the if clause, and how the verbs remain the same with would. Okay?
She would spend a year in the USA if it was easier to get a green card. If I lived on a lonely island, I would cultivate the whole land. We would help you if we knew how to. My brother would buy a sports car if he had the money.
Yes. And few more to go, right? Next sentence, Miss Niranji.
If I felt better, I would go to the library with you. If you rode your bike more often, you would not be overweight. There's a negative sentence, right? You would not be overweight. Next one, again negative. She would not talk to you if she was mad at you.
Yes. Now look at the last 2 sentences, my dear children. Now when you turn the sentence into negative, or when you want to say something negative, in the main clause what you have to do is, in between would and the verb, you have to add the word not. That is how you are going to make a grammatically correct sentences. Again I repeat, would, not and the verb. Okay?
It's better
Right.
to read the sentences, I think, again,
Yes.
the last two
last
sentences.
2 sentences I am going to read it again. if you rode your bike more often, you would not be overweight. Last one, she would not talk to you if she was mad at you, right? And also the first one, the one before the last, if clause is at the beginning, and in the last sentence you have the main clause at the beginning. Okay, children? Right. Now, what did we learn? Shall we have a quick recap before I move on to the next slide?
Yeah, that's better, I think.
Yes. If type 2, what is the difference? I mean, how are we going to form the sentence there? In the if clause, what do you have? If and the verb in the
Past tense.
past tense. Yes. And in the main clause, you have would and the verb. The verb in the infinitive or the stem. That means you can't add s, es or ies or ing or any part or any suffix at the end of the verb. Isn't that so, Ms. Niranji?
Yes, we have to use the stem verb.
Yes. And if type 2, we are using it to talk about imaginary situations. What we imagine, what we think, they are not real. And also, even though we use the past tense form of the verb, we are not talking of something in the past. We refer to it either the present, we refer to either present or the future. Okay? So, with that, to another piece of, an interesting piece of poetry, right? And it is directly connected to the lesson that we have learnt. And the name of the poem is If. Yes, you can see the words coming up in the screen. Shall I read them for you, or would you like to read, Ms. Niranji?
No, I think it's better for you to read.
Okay, then listen to it, because this is a nice piece of poetry, and find it and read it for yourselves. It gives you good advice. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. I love this piece of poetry. What would you think?
Yes, I think it's a lovely piece of poetry.
And also the if condition is there. To get the result, you have to fulfill the if condition, right? And with this, we are going to wind up today's lesson. Hope you all have enjoyed the lesson. I know this is a little bit difficult, because to keep that in mind is a little bit difficult, but when you practice more and more, you can write grammatically correct sentences. Ms. Niranji?
Yes. So that is the end of our lesson, children. You can always watch our programs, Guru Gedara programs on TV, channel I, and at the same time, if you want to watch our programs again and again, you can always log into YouTube channel NIE, and watch again. Until we meet again, stay safe and
Goodbye.
goodbye.